Hey, I'm sorry we lost the original video to this section, so we did just a little narrative of the history of the first project, how we came about it, where we are up to today. I've been thinking a while that I wanted to get into a little more camping, so I decided I wanted some sort of camper. Well, I also like to fish, so I had to have some way of bringing my bass boat with me, so I had to have something that I could drive to tow my bass boat. Well, can't really afford a big camper, don't really want a big camper. I'm by myself most of the time. So I decided on getting a cargo van and converting that over into a one-man camper. I started looking online, really couldn't find one. So just for the heck of it, I posted on Facebook that I was looking for an older work van. And of course, I started getting all kinds of smart-ass remarks from my friends. Why in the world would I need a work van? You know, I'm pretty much allergic to manual labor and am well known for it. So after I weeded through all of that BS, I come across a post from my friend Jonathan. And he told me, he said, come out to the house, I think I got something you'd be interested in. So I do. I go out there. He lives on the other side of Picayune. And we start walking out into the woods out behind his house. And, you know, I've seen Deliverance, so I got a little nervous, was listening for banjos. But nevertheless, we walked on out there and we came across this beast. Well, this is a 1989 Ford F-350 van that has been converted to an ambulance, which was quite a surprise to see out in the back of his house. But anyway, the story is his dad bought this thing years and years ago. For some reason, it never got put into service in Bay St. Louis. So he wound up buying it from the city. I don't know why his dad just buys stuff. I don't know. So after a while, he got tired of it sitting in his yard. So he called Jonathan, told him to come get it, get rid of it, sell it, do whatever. Well, Jonathan went and picked it up, brought it to his house to make a camper out of, and it never really got going. And that was 15 years ago. As you can see here, it's in real good shape. You know, no major rust or anything like that. The tires still had air in them. We went to town and bought 2 fresh batteries and put in it, and it fired right up. Check it out. Well, then we drove it on up to his house, you know, across the field up into his house, and it didn't have any power brakes. And we got to looking at it, and the belt that goes to the vacuum pump was missing. I guess a squirrel ate it or something, I don't know. But if you know anything about diesel engines, they don't create enough vacuum, so they have a vacuum pump to go to the master cylinder to create for the power brakes, and that was gone. So we were going to have to put it up on a flatbed trailer and bring it out to my house. Well, I got to thinking about it, and being the patient soul that I am, I decided to hell with that. We was just going to give it a whirl. So we fired it up and drove it on out to my house, and we did all right. You know, we eased along. We were real careful, and everything went okay. Got it out to the house, and the transmission quit pulling, and got to looking in the coolant line from the transmission to the radiator had a bad leak. It was just bad hose, I guess. So we replaced that, put new fluid in it, found a few other leaks, replaced them, hoses, belts, and all that kind of stuff. Found a leak in the heater core. I guess the same squirrel ate a hole in that. So we bypassed the heater core, and then the air conditioning compressor was bad. Started pricing that, and that was outrageous for that old of a model, I guess. So we decided we were going to have to do something different with the air conditioning. So we decided that we were going to have to put a window unit in the van. In most vans you see, they have the window unit sticking out the back window, and I really didn't want to do that. And with this one having that extended top on it, it had just enough room over the back double back doors that we could put an air conditioner up there, and the doors would still open and wouldn't interfere with seeing out the back windows and all that kind of stuff. So that's what we decided to do. So we get up there, and we're looking at this thing, and you can see that it has emergency lights all around it. which all worked, by the way. The bar light, the flashing lights in the rear, the siren, everything in this thing worked. Amazing. So we took the emergency lights and stuff out of the back and cut our hole, mounted our air conditioner. But we didn't want to have to put a bunch of brackets and stuff sticking out and all that kind of stuff. So we took the cage off of the air conditioner and put that in the hole and then screwed that to some bracing we had put inside and then put the air conditioner back in it, and it worked great. Very stable. So we went ahead and took all the rest of the emergency lights out. We got plans for that, and we'll get to it later. But we took all those out because we didn't want to have any problems with red lights and all that kind of stuff. We started checking the interior, thinking this was going to be a real easy conversion since everything was in such good shape. Well, apparently one of the emergency lights leaked, and a lot of water had run down behind the cabinetry, and it was made out of that old particle board, so it swelled up and popped, and it really was very, very weak. So we started tearing that out, and we tore it out down to the insulation of the walls. So we have pretty much started from scratch. The first thing we did was put a new floor in it. We went ahead and put new plywood down, new carpet. And during that process, we came up with the idea, since it had all these emergency lights, it had all the flashers and the strobe and the siren and stuff in it. With this being 2020 and the zombie apocalypse being an inevitable occurrence right around the corner, we decided to go ahead and make this into a zombie response unit that we can still use as a camper. So we decided to go with a gray-black interior and make it look as tactical as we could. Well, then the red and white paint that's on it doesn't exactly go with that theme, so we decided we were going to paint it that kind of like a smoke gunmetal gray or whatever, the same color the new Dodge Chargers and all that stuff have come out with. So we're going to paint it that color, but of course on a budget, that's a bunch of rednecks, we're going to use rattle can paint from Rust-Oleum and paint it with that. And then trim everything up in bed liner because our bodywork's not that great. So that's the plan so far. We've got all the interior torn out of it at this point. Most of the wiring that we found that was chewed on has been replaced or patched. And we've decided to start with the front of the van due to the wiring process and where some of the switches are, and the master control switch and all that stuff had to be redone, and one thing leads to another. So we started with the master control switch that was very outdated. Some of the switches were broke and that kind of stuff. So we replaced all that, made it look real modern. Well, then the dashboard really stuck out as being ugly and old with that wood grain trim. So we redid it and trimmed it with fiber. What do you call that stuff? Yeah, carbon fiber around some of the trim. And we're in the process of putting that back in. Well, then the radio didn't work, so we had to put in a new radio. So it's been more one thing than the other. And of course, the interior was in great shape, but it was red, and that didn't go with our theme. So we're slowly converting that over to black as best we can. So all that's going on right now, and we're working on the wiring to go ahead and do the grill lights. And the reason for that is we wanted to change the headlights over to LED, and all the other bulbs that we were going to use, we were changing over from halogen to LED, and that was just a logical place to start for us, the way the wiring fell into place. So we started doing that. We decided we wanted some grill lights, so we ordered from Amazon some of the little small off-road LED lights. As you can see here, one of the grill sirens had a red light on them that flashed. Well, didn't want a red light. And the sirens and stuff are so old, they didn't make clear lenses going that we could find. So we decided to take those out, make a little plate, put in there, and put a little small LED light on there to flash. So we've got our grill lights hooked up. We've got our wigwag lights hooked up, and then we put in a little something special. We one of my favorite shows from back in the day was Knight Rider, if all you old folks can remember that. And it had a very significant light on the grill, and we decided we wanted one on ours, but being a zombie vehicle, it had to be green. So we went on an Amazon search, finally found one that you could change to green, but had a memory in it to where when you killed the power to it, later on when you turned it back on, it came back to green. It didn't start over, and you had to reprogram it every time. So we finally found one of those, got that, and this is pretty much what it turned out, and this is where we are so far. Excuse me. We had to go ahead and paint the hood and the cowl because we had to do some work around them. Didn't want to have to redo it. So here we are. This is where we are on the beast so far, and hope you come back and check it out. Our next video, we're going to start building the bed to go in there so that we can build everything else around it. I'm a big boy. As for camping, bed's going to be the most important thing. So come back, join us, see what the crew gets into.